The optimistic reason is that solar panels have been getting shockingly cheap, relatively, like very quickly, like Moore's law speed of change. So for those who don't know, Moore's law says that the number of transistors on a chip doubles every, I think, 2 years. And so it's an exponential process, and like a very fast, very few things grow that quickly. And this is why we can do so much with computers now, is because we've gotten so good at stuffing transistors onto computer chips. Well, if you plot the price of solar production going back to when solar panels were invented in the 1950s, it has declined almost perfectly log linearly. So it's been exponential ever since. And it's even in the last 10 years, the price of solar panels has reduced by 90%. And there's really no sign of that slowing down. I mean, presumably it'll slow down someday, but a couple more decades of that, and solar will be the cheapest form of energy in the world. It already is cheaper than most other sources of energy in a lot of places. The thing that would cause me to be pessimistic about that is A, its intermittency, and B, its geographic variability. And to deal with the geographic variability, you need to build a lot of transmission lines. And we're not very good at doing things like building transmission lines. So I worry that that will be the part that where we bottleneck and are unable to take full advantage of cheap and abundant solar as a result.
How big are those transition lines?
I mean, so I couldn't tell you like an exact number, but they're the sort of transmission lines that you see like on highways driving.
Okay.
And in general, it's just there's a lot of friction in the U.S. Infrastructure building space. If you want to make transmission lines, you're going to have to cross someone's property, and that's going to give them some veto power, right? And then you're going to cross someone else's property, and that's going to give them some veto power, and someone's going to complain somewhere. And this is, for instance, why California had so much trouble and is still having trouble building high-speed rail. Is there's just a huge number of people who come up with some reason to complain, some of which is legitimate, some of which is not, and they exercise a lot of veto power, and it makes it hard to build this large-scale infrastructure across space.
How much does policy affect the intricacies of getting things like this done? I mean, does it make it extremely hard? Does it make it moderately hard, or is it just there's no balance, or it varies?
Well, it varies, but policy determines how much veto power a given actor can have. So, like, we, in around the 1970s, I couldn't tell the exact date, but we put in place a lot of environmental laws, which says that if you want to build something, you have to do environmental reviews. And, we did this for largely good and benign reasons, and like the environment in many ways has cleaned up since the 1970s, and so I'm not saying that these were like stupid laws that never should have been passed, but they do give people the power to veto building new projects. So when you build something like high-speed rail or you build transmission lines, you have to do these environmental reviews, and that gives people who, for whatever reason, do not want these things built because it ruins their view or what have you, or better reasons. They can have good reasons, they can have bad reasons. They now have a lever by which to pull and slow down your project. And so that raises the cost of doing these things.
What would you change about that? Would you give them less veto power, or their veto power needs to be more legitimate if they want to use it?
I mean, I would, on the margin, certainly give them less veto power. I think in our current equilibrium, we give NIMBYs, which I'm sure is a word you've heard, too much veto power. Now, where exactly the right amount is, I don't know. There are dangers on the other side too, right? China's very good at building things, but this is because they just bulldoze people and they're not allowed to complain. And that comes with some benefits, but it also comes with some costs that I think we would not be happy about bearing. And so I don't know what exactly the right mix is, but I'm pretty confident to say that on the margin, we have too much of it now.